The morning started off as a typical taping of The View: hot coffee, a packed audience, and the usual banter among the hosts. But underneath the studio lights, there was an unusual buzz. Everyone was anticipating the arrival of Samuel L. Jackson. Known for his sharp tongue, unfiltered opinions, and legendary Hollywood presence, he was never one to stick to a script. And today would be no exception. Samuel was on a promotional tour for his upcoming political thriller, Capitol's Fall, a film drenched in conspiracy, corruption, and political uprising. The movie was already making waves for its raw depiction of a fictional coup, and many critics were calling it a dangerous mirror to the state of real-life American politics. As Samuel strode onto the stage in a black blazer and signature Kangol hat, the audience erupted in applause. He gave a short wave and nodded at the hosts. Whoopi Goldberg, sitting in her usual moderator's seat, offered him a professional smile. "Welcome back, Sam," she said warmly. "Always a pleasure. Always a wild ride with y'all," Jackson replied, adjusting his seat. Joy Behar laughed. "We wouldn't have it any other way." Sonny Hostin opened the discussion gently. "Your new film, Capitol's Fall, is intense. It's gritty, violent, and political. Was that your intention from the beginning, to make a statement?" Jackson didn't hesitate. "Absolutely. We're living in a time where fiction isn't even keeping up with reality. This movie isn't just a thriller, it's a wake-up call." The audience applauded again, but Whoopi leaned forward with a more serious tone. "But don't you worry," she asked, "that films like this, while well-intentioned, could also stir up fear and paranoia in an already divided country." Samuel turned his full attention to her. "Whoopi, fear isn't the problem. Complacency is. People sitting around pretending everything's fine while the walls crumble. That's the danger. Not a damn movie." Whoopi raised an eyebrow. "But when you use art to wake people up, you're also responsible for the reaction. What if it pushes people further into fear or rage instead of dialogue?" The air in the studio was thick with tension. Even during commercial break, the atmosphere backstage buzzed like a hornet's nest. Samuel L. Jackson paced furiously near the dressing rooms, gesturing with his hands as a flustered production assistant attempted to calm him. "They brought me here to speak my truth," he muttered, almost to himself. "Then act like I'm the problem when I don't toe the line." Back on stage, the hosts were regrouping. Whoopi sipped water and stared straight ahead, her face unreadable. Joy Behar and Sonny Hostin whispered quietly, trying to decide whether to continue the show or scrap the next segment entirely. Alyssa Farah Griffin was scrolling her phone under the table. Social media was already ablaze. Within minutes, clips from the heated exchange were spreading like wildfire. On Twitter, users split into factions. One side cheered for Samuel's no-nonsense passion, praising him as a truth-teller refusing to play by Hollywood elite rules. The other accused him of being disrespectful, even aggressive, for clashing with Whoopi in her own house. By the time the show resumed, ABC executives were already on the line with the control booth. "We're back," Whoopi said, glancing briefly at the camera. "Obviously, this morning's conversation got passionate. That's not unusual around here. We're used to disagreement, and we welcome it, until it becomes unproductive." She didn't mention Samuel by name, but the message was clear. Backstage, a senior producer approached Jackson with a choice: either return to the stage and calmly clarify his points, or quietly exit the building. Samuel didn't even look at the man before shaking his head. "I said what I came to say," he growled. "You want to sanitize it for daytime, that's your problem. But don't call me fake when I won't be polite about real-life fire." He grabbed his leather jacket from the coat rack and walked out of the studio doors without another word. The fallout hit fast. By early afternoon, TMZ released a short clip of Samuel's dramatic exit, with the caption, "Samuel L. Jackson storms off The View, after explosive shoutdown with Whoopi." Other outlets quickly followed. People magazine, Variety, The Hollywood Reporter. Each headline more sensational than the last. One source close to the production told Entertainment Tonight, "We've had heated arguments before, but this was on another level. It wasn't just disagreement, it was personal." Meanwhile, on Twitter X, a trending thread broke down the exchange frame by frame, analyzing Jackson's body language and Whoopi's expressions with near Oscar-level scrutiny. Whoopi's defenders pointed out how calmly she held her ground, never raising her voice or sinking to personal attacks. She kept it professional. "That's how grown women handle conflict," one viral tweet read. Jackson's supporters saw it differently. Samuel was right, this country is burning, and Whoopi wanted him to sugarcoat it for a mid-morning crowd. He said no. Respect. Later that evening, Jackson posted a cryptic message to his 9 million followers. If you're uncomfortable, maybe it's because you needed to be. Victory hand medium dark skin tone. He didn't mention Whoopi or The View, but the implication was clear. Meanwhile, Whoopi addressed the incident on the next day's show without ever naming names. She opened the segment with her usual measured grace. Sometimes, conversations go left. Sometimes, people don't want dialogue, they want a monologue. And that's okay. But this show isn't about shouting louder than the next person. It's about listening, even when you disagree. Sunny nodded beside her. And we always want guests to feel heard, but respect is a two-way street. Fans noticed that Whoopi's tone was calm but unmistakably firm. She clapped back without even raising her voice, one fan tweeted. Rumors swirled that ABC brass had reached out to Jackson's team for damage control, worried about the potential PR war. Sources claimed the network wasn't happy about the attention, both good and bad. But Jackson, reportedly, refused to take any follow-up calls. I'm not apologizing for being honest, he told a close friend, according to Variety. If folks can't handle that on national TV, maybe that's exactly why we need more of it. Several fellow celebrities chimed in with their support. Viola Davis tweeted, telling the truth isn't always pretty. But it's still the truth. Much love to my brother at Samuel Jackson. On the other hand, Barbara Walters' former producer made a rare comment, posting, "This was never what The View was meant to become. Disagreement, yes. Disrespect, no." The moment had grown from a single clash into a national debate about truth, tone, and talk show culture. By Friday, Samuel L. Jackson's name was still trending. And Capitol's fall. Pre-sales for the film had skyrocketed overnight. Critics who once dismissed the project as too political were now taking a second look. Jackson's outburst had somehow catapulted the movie into the center of the national conversation, whether by accident or design. Meanwhile, Whoopi continued hosting The View with her usual composure, though eagle-eyed fans noted that the show's mood was slightly tenser, slightly quieter, as if everyone was still processing what had unfolded. Alyssa tried to joke about it later in the week. Well, we've officially entered the don't poke the Jackson era. Joy smirked. Speak for yourself. I love a little chaos. As for Samuel L. Jackson, he remained off the daytime circuit, but not out of the public eye. The clip of him leaving the stage, shouting about fire and truth, would become a staple of political TikToks and YouTube remixes for weeks. In an ironic twist, the very conversation Whoopi had warned might stoke too much fear ended up sparking more conversation than any segment of the show that year. And while Samuel may have been kicked off The View, he had most certainly kicked open a bigger door, for better or worse.